What's the craziest thing you've ever eaten? Is it deer or chicken gizzards or any other big game? Maybe, but have you ever tried alien? Dynamic entry, welcome back to the channel, guys. Yes, and today I'm going to be discussing the delicacy that is eating alien, or rather a manga that I've been reading that involves eating alien, which is going to be Mad by Yusuke Otori. Mad has been out since June of 2024, so 2 years or so, about a year and a half. There's 44 chapters and about 6 volumes, and I just can't get enough of it, so I wanted to tell you guys all about it today and tell you guys that you should be reading it as well. So the overall plot is that it is a post-apocalyptic universe where aliens have invaded and humans are being pushed out from their communities and they have to learn how to survive. And the main character of our story is John, who we learn is just wandering about with a group of other wanderers, I suppose, and he doesn't really have a backbone, doesn't really have a purpose, because we learn that his sister was recently killed and he just kind of lost all will to live and go on, and he's just kind of wandering about aimlessly, and that is the main guy we got here. We gotta love him, right? He's just a typical nobody loser. And right away in the first chapter, we get our glimpse of these aliens, and they do very much feel like xenomorphs from Alien, the franchise Alien, and that is kind of what drew me into this, because I haven't really read too many sci-fi mangas, and I am, into sci-fi here and there, and I do get interested in some of them, and seeing this, I was kind of like, oh, this is like a nice little easy transition, especially because I started reading this last year when Alien Earth was coming out, and if you watch my video about that and my favorite shows of last year, Alien Earth was one of them, so this kind of fit in that and kind of scratched that itch as well. So if you're into like that type of story, that might also persuade you to read this, give you a little bit of an extra push to want to read this. And these aliens are treated like, the top of the food chain. When everybody sees them, they go into hiding and they try to stay as quiet as possible. And they creep along, looking around edges of rocks and just kind of like sniffing about. I'm not completely sure if they're blind or not. They might just be working on sound because they stay really quiet and they don't want to move. So it might just kind of be like a T-Rex situation, from Jurassic Park. But we do see them, and they are like long, and they have big tails, they have big giant teeth and mouths, and when they commence the first attack, we see they're just vicious beings, and we don't know why, but for some reason, they only want to attack humans. All other wildlife is fine in this world, it's just humans that they're after, and we won't learn about that till later on, and even then, we still don't really know why they only attack humans, but if they do see them, they attack them, and they just, rip you to shreds, and that's kind of what happens to John's party here. In the first couple chapters, the party he's with gets torn about, and only him and one other person survive. He gets saved by a bunch of soldiers who look like Killzone people. You remember that game Killzone? That's what they look like, and they basically save his life, and John sees this and just passes out. And lo and behold, John wakes up in the place he was looking for, Jericho, that's what they call it, and he's greeted by a chiseled young man named Leon, and Leon kind of assures him like, hey man, it's all good, you've been saved, and let me show you around, and he shows him around this facility, and shows him that yes, everything that they thought was true. All the people who have been just settling have come here, and they have women, they have children, they have animals, they have food, all this stuff, and pretty much all you have to do is do your part, and that way we can all survive this. But everything kind of seems off because John starts feeling weird feelings like, this doesn't all quite seem right. Everybody seems a little too nice, maybe a little too brainwashed, who knows, and that's where the deeper, darker story comes into play. John goes out exploring one night this facility, and he finds down a dark hallway a hunk of meat just crawling towards him and calling out to him, and he is freaked out and realizes, oh shit, this is not what it seems. And then he's interrupted by Leon, who's like, hey buddy, what's going on? You going crazy? And John's like, what are you talking about? Looks back, sees the hunk of meat's gone, and his image that he'd seen might just be in his head, but also probably not. And this discovery shows us where the story starts to take shape. We find out through a bunch of similar events that happen throughout the first bit of chapters here that This is a failed experiment. It was a human who was fed this alien flesh. That's right, I mentioned earlier at the intro. Have you ever eaten anything like alien flesh before? No, you haven't. Because in this world, the way that they're running things here in Jericho is that if they feed you some alien flesh, if you're able to survive, you will become an adapter. And an adapter basically is a hybrid of a human and an alien. You possess the ability to transform into one of these aliens, except you are more humanoid-like. So John saw a failed experiment, essentially one that could not survive, and basically what happens is that John is also fed some alien meat, unbeknownst to him. So yes, this facility is all kinds of messed up, and the people who run it are also all kinds of messed up. They just feel like, hey, we need to survive, and this is what we have to do, and we will lose a few people along the way, but the people who do come out on top are the strongest, and they will survive, and they will help us find a new way to fight these aliens. And though the process is grueling and excruciating to John, he ends up surviving, and he ends up breaking out of Jericho. He tears everybody apart from limb, and he ruins the entire Jericho facility. And he ends up fighting with Leon and the other people who are guarding the palace, who are also adapters as well. But I guess the special thing with John is that he is a special alien that only a few people are, I guess. They have horns, and these are like a special kind of adapter, a special kind of alien. If you have horns, you're like stronger than everybody else. So really nobody can take down John. He is too strong, and he goes on a rampage, loses all control of himself because he has not trained himself yet. And that's kind of where the first story arc ends. And this first chapter just shows us what kind of character John is and how he has to basically grow into the role that he has been given, this power, that he's been given this, this adapter ability. And we're seeing how dark and disgusting some people are, post-apocalyptic. It reminds me kind of like Fallout, where how there's just so many walks of life that you don't see, you don't expect to find. And this little, family of Jericho people, they're just like a evil corporation basically who just wants to keep women and children prisoners and feed humans and people that they find along the way, all these these wanderers, and try to get the most adapters as possible, which is helpful for them in the long run if they were able to do it. But the way that they're going about it is just inhumane as all hell. And having wiped out the entire Jericho facility, Leon, the leader of this place, vows his revenge on John. I'm going to find him, I'm going to kill him. And that's where his story kind of gets put on the back burner. And then we move John into another facility with some other escapees, because John manages to escape with a guard who, doesn't want to be there anymore. His name is Bob. He's cool. And Bob's little girlfriend that he had in there, and another straggler with them. They end up traveling to the next facility, where Bob is like, "Hey, I visited a different other facility where they're a lot nicer, but they do know how to control their powers too. So you can learn along the way there, John. So let's travel there and find them. And their next best hope of survival is going to be this new facility." And we encounter more people along the way. Some extremists, some cultists. The typical like religion fanatics. That's the next group that we encounter, where they only believe in this guy named Yazzer, who is just like their messiah basically. And they're a group of other adapters, but they are very extremist in their ways because they only want to follow this guy. And there they have another guy named Alda, who was a former soldier, and he's able to go toe-to-toe with most aliens and adapters, which is cool because he's just a human, and he has a sword. And how does he do it? He's just that physically gifted. So that is our next group of villains. So we got to worry about the cultists, the Yazzer fanatics, and we got to worry about Leon. And then we end up getting to the next facility with Pano, who is a female adapter, but she is stronger than any adapter we've seen because she's able to control her powers like nobody's ever seen before. She can transform parts of her body, fingers, her tail, or just her feet, and she's able to control herself in full adapter state and not go crazy. So she ends up taking John in, and the rest of the party, Bob and his girl, and they end up training together. So John is learning how to become a better adapter, and along the way making a friend, which is what John needs along the way, because he's made a couple friends there, but also prior to all of this incident that's been happening, he's been alone the whole time. and Grius is the new settlement name. Sorry, I blanked on that. So Grius is where John is at currently with Pano and the other followers, Bob and all of them. And then we have the Church of Yazur, that's what they call themselves, that are planning their attack. And then we have the people who are looking for revenge against John, which is Leon and all of them. So that is how the table has been set for us, and that is the first 40-something chapters of the story. And yes, I just can't get enough of it because it does scratch that sci-fi itch of it, but also the aspect of, like, I don't know, just post-apocalyptic stories like that. They always get me, and they're doing it in a way that's newer. It's not like zombies or anything. It's aliens, which is always cool to see, and we're seeing a cool character come to life, somebody who can transform and become a crazy beast. So it hits you on that front as well, like that cool person who has powers but doesn't really know how to control them yet, but once they control them, they're probably going to be super strong. And then we have just like a good cast of villains and people who have their own motivations in this world, which in a post-apocalyptic world, it's hard to really have, you know, a good moral standing because, you know, there's really no rules anymore. So who's going to rule you? Who's going to, you know, tell you what to do? Nobody. You have to hold yourself accountable. So it is kind of cool to see how everybody's moving in their own way and finding their own will or reason to go on. And the way it's written, or at least the way it's translated, it reads probably easier than most manga that I read. A lot of the dialogue does seem very, like, you know, personal and conversational, which is cool. It's not so much like, hey, I'm this person and my ability is this and da-da-da-da, or it's not like a confusing power system or like confusing rules like the culling game. No, this is just like conversational and just like telling you straight up, hey, this is what's happening, this is what's going to happen, and then it's just like action and, you know, crazy story beats that happen along the way. And if it ever does get animated, I think it's going to be probably one of like the coolest things ever. It's going to fit right in with like Kaiju number 8, like Terran Resonance, that type vibe where it's just like kaijus and aliens and like weird post-apocalyptic stuff. And I think that it does have potential to be something cool. It is a little more dark than most series, which I think is why it's on Jump Plus and not just like main shonen. Maybe eventually, but right now it is very violent, and the story itself is dark and makes you feel like, oh man, this is not Shonen Jump. This is just like a dark story, and I like that. I enjoy that vibe. So if you do like something kind of similar to that, like that vibe of a story, and you don't want to do like the typical like shonen, like happy-go-lucky, this could be more for you, because we haven't really seen too many happy moments in this story. We've seen a few here and there, but it is just like little morsels in this dark and bleak post-apocalyptic world. In the story, we still do have the main threat of these aliens, and like, how are we gonna survive this, guys? How are we gonna get over this? Like, I know we all have our little things that we're fighting for, whatever. That's not the big issue. The big issue are these aliens. Let's take, you know, our planet back, maybe. Who knows if they ever will. But yeah, I've just been really enjoying this, and it has been like a nice change of pace of what I'm usually reading. It is cool to see a story like this that's taking itself serious, and it's not trying, you know, to reveal itself to you too soon, and it's keeping the mystery alive, and it's immersing you in this world. It is very immersive, and the characters, we're learning to love them and, you know, root for certain ones. And though they do have their own reasons for things, we can see why they believe in what they believe in, and, you know, everyone's right in their own mind, right? So it is cool to see a story like this, and I'm enjoying it. Hopefully it does continue, and hopefully, you know, we get a full fleshed out story. I haven't really seen too much talk about it, but the people who do mention or talk about it that I've seen all enjoy it. I haven't seen anything really negative about it, so, you know, it's not too late to jump on the train. It's actually pretty early. Only 44 chapters. If you want to read it, you know where to find it. Shonen Jump Plus and other places if you do indulge in that kind of behavior. But yeah, Mad by Yusuke Otori, I do recommend you read it because it has been a blast for me. I've been enjoying it. It's just like a humanity story, you know, how strong is humanity and how fucked up is humanity as well, because that's what most post-apocalyptic stories kind of give you, like the, ooh, we want to survive, but should we survive? We're kind of messed up as a people, but, you know, we have to survive. Anyway, yeah, highly recommend. Hopefully you guys check it out. If you do check it out, let me know down in the comments what your favorite parts are. And if you don't want to read it, let me know what you are also reading currently, and I can add it to my list. Maybe something that's, you know, on your radar, but is not on everyone else's radar. Stuff like that. I would enjoy checking them out. So let me know down in the comments below. Also, be sure to subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. We always enjoy it. And yeah, I hope you guys do give it a read because, you know, one of my favorites currently. So yeah, and until next time, go survive the world.